Well, good morning, and what a beautiful winter's morning it is here deep in the southwest of England on Wednesday, the 7th of February 2018. And what a fantastic week it's been so far, and we're only halfway through it. On Monday, Derbyshire County Council voted by 9-1 to robustly oppose INEOS's application to frack, or to drill and frack at Marsh Lane. Of course, this will go to a public inquiry, but nonetheless, Derbyshire County Council have let it be known that they will oppose the application. So this is a big message to INEOS, because, of course, INEOS got basically the same response. Well, we've got a problem here with connectivity. Let's see if we can get the connectivity back there. So INEOS got basically the same response from Rotherham Metropolitan Borough Council. And so consequently, I have no doubt that Jim Ratcliffe is about to hold some very tough discussions with the quietly spoken Tom Pickering, who will try to convince him that despite the fact that he got it wrong in Scotland and had told Jim that don't worry Jim, we've got it in the bag, Nicola's in our pocket, and we're going to get the go-ahead to frack right across the central belt of Scotland, and somehow Tom Pickering is still hanging on in there, no doubt having convinced Jim Ratcliffe that don't worry Jimbo, it's all in the bag, because we've got Greg Clark and the Tory administration right where we want them, and they're going to help us continue to ride roughshod over communities, over the legislation, and we'll basically get our bits in the ground before the end of 2018. Well, it's not looking very good, is it, Tom or Jimbo? You know, because the zeitgeist of the moment is that there is a rising awareness not only about the travesty that the unconventional hydrocarbons industry causes wherever it gets itself established, but you guys only want the gas to enhance Jimbo's already obscene personal wealth. Because you're not mining the gas for the benefit of the British people, you're mining the gas for the benefit of the profits of the owners of INEOS. And INEOS, of course, being a private company, with Jim Ratcliffe reportedly owning some 60% of the company, then, of course, all you're doing is enhancing his personal wealth. And as the awareness of the magnitude of the problems regarding plastics increase, then there's going to be enormous pressure on your transparency to establish exactly where that gas is going to be utilised. And we basically know you're going to utilise it for the benefits of your chemical production and your plastics production. So right now, Jimbo, I would say cut your losses, pull the plug on unconventional gas, because it ain't going anywhere in the UK. And if anybody wanted an endorsement of that, then look no further than what is now happening at Kirby Misperton. Now, yesterday, I made the observation that word was coming back to me from sources around Westminster that Greg Clark was under enormous pressure to sign off on BARCLAYS Bank, trading as Third Energy's application to frack at Kirby Misperton. Well, it seems that events have taken a more natural course, because after publishing their accounts 5 months late, without penalty, one should add, and by the way, it's been established that Companies House were not chasing Third Energy, and neither apparently did Third Energy let Companies House know that they were going to be late in filing their accounts. So by all normal practices, Third Energy should have been dissolved. But of course the British government has too much skin in the game, and Third Energy were relying on that to just be given a sort of free hand to publish their accounts as and when they felt like it. or when, of course, the public pressure got a little bit too great. Well, call it a hunch, but I would suggest that the suppliers to Third Energy, who have had their kit sitting on the well-site at KM8 since November last year, I would suggest that they took a look at these accounts, or their accountants took a look at these accounts and said, what the hell are we doing? This company's a dog. You know, we either get paid up front or we just don't engage in any contractual arrangement with these guys, because there is nothing that underpins this company. In fact, there's £24 million worth of intangible assets in these accounts, which basically means thin air, goodwill. Well, I can tell you that Third Energy doesn't have much goodwill. And of course, who does it effectively owe all of its 50+ million debt to? Well, it's offshore holding company, which is registered in the Cayman Islands, and of course there is zero transparency there. So it looks to me very much like some of those suppliers called Third Energy and said, hey guys, about those outstanding invoices, we need them to be paid like right now. And I'm guessing that basically Third Energy said, well, you know, can we have another month, 2 months, 3 months, year? And the financial controllers of the suppliers basically said, no way. You know what? We can make more money, guaranteed more money, by using this equipment elsewhere. So, a significant chunk of kit was rolled off-site yesterday. Now, there's also the possibility, of course, that Third Energy were simply trying to work a flanker and take some of the kit off pending an health and safety inspection. And of course, the likelihood is that whoever conducts the health and safety inspection wouldn't necessarily know precisely what kit is needed on site to conduct a frack. So get a clean bill of health on the health and safety inspection and then move the kit back on. Well, unfortunately, that doesn't look like it's the case now, because Third Energy actually issued a statement yesterday afternoon. We're losing connectivity here on YouTube, but we'll find a way to get that up on YouTube one way or another. And anyway, so Third Energy issued a statement, and in the statement they said, well, you know, we're gratified that Greg Clark has acknowledged that we've met the 13 technical criteria to be able to commence the frack, and the only outstanding issue is, or was, our accounts, and now it's the investigation into our financial resilience. Well, they've acknowledged that that might take some time. Well, why might it take some time? Because Third Energy is a dog, underpinned only by Barclays Bank. And the one thing that is now very, very clear is that all responsibility from this point forward rests with Barclays Bank and Greg Clark. So, Barclays Bank. Now, there has, last year, of course, back in May, Barclays issued a statement that they were intending to divest themselves of Third Energy because they realised that this was not conducive with the image that they wanted to portray as a caring high street bank. Excuse me while I choke on that one. Well, they did shift some, I think it was 19%, but only to another subsidiary of Barclays Bank. So the bottom line is that Barclays Bank is the prima facie owner of Third Energy. So it's time now to really up the pressure on Barclays Bank. So this isn't about just tagging a Barclays, although that's important. And of course, if you do tag Barclays, then please make sure that it's just with chalk spray or Christmas snow spray, so that there's no criminal damage, nothing permanent. It'll just simply wash off in the next shower of rain. But also, get on to Barclays customer service teams and ask the question, are Barclays Bank so unconcerned about the well-being of the people in this country, and particularly in the north of England, that they are prepared to underwrite a cowboy fracking outfit that has no experience of this, and basically it's a disaster waiting to happen. And of course, if it does happen, it will now forever be associated with Barclays Bank and Greg Clark. And this is the reason that none of the major hydrocarbons companies are involved directly, anyway, in unconventional gas exploitation in the UK, because they know fine well that there would be a massive campaign to raise awareness through their downstream businesses, just like occurred in Ireland when Shell were riding roughshod over the community in County Mayo to build their processing plant there, the gas processing plant, which is why you do not see any Shell petrol stations anywhere in Southern Ireland. They were all rebranded, still Shell, but rebranded as Topaz in an attempt to deceive the public. So unless Barclays is going to run the risk of a multi-million pound rebranding scheme, then they should ditch Third Energy. And as for their stock price, well, that's, of course, the stock markets are tanking on a global basis. No surprise, seen it coming for a while. But, you know, if we look at Barclays' stock price, a year ago it was 226, and now it's down at 190. So, not necessarily a massive drop, but 20%. Hey, I'm sure that, you know, the shareholders would like to see a bit of a recovery there. And I'm sure the executives within Barclays, the senior executives, the officers, part of their compensation plan will be based upon the market value of the company, i.e. the stock price. So get on to Barclays Bank. Go into your local branch, tag a Barclays, and get on to their customer service teams and spell out for them what the risk to them as a business is if they continue to support the attempts to frack in the north of England. So it's a real interesting time. Of course, the other issue is the tourist industry in North Yorkshire. And Easter comes, I think, the first weekend of April this year. So Flamingo Land will, of course, have events going on next week, which is half term. And then, of course, the tourist season kicks in literally at the end of March. So the likelihood is that even if Barclays made the big mistake of announcing that they were going to underwrite all the liabilities and potential liabilities of Third Energy, which would of course include the liabilities if there's a catastrophe, the costs of decommissioning, etc., etc. So unless Barclays are prepared to make that categoric statement, which of course must be put into the public domain, then there's no possibility that Greg Clark or anyone else is going to be in any position to sign this application off anytime soon. And of course that means that they're not going to be able to complete the work and get the kit off before the start of the tourist season. And that will once again just show the flagrant disregard for the local community, which is very much dependent on tourism for a significant chunk of the region's revenue. So it doesn't matter how you look at it, it's almost game over for Third Energy. And in fact, the other suppliers that have apparently agreed to leave their kit on the site, I would absolutely encourage people to call those suppliers and encourage them to take a look at the accounts that have now been published, which are of course a year out of date because it's the accounts for 2016, and I can assure you that the accounts for 2017 are going to look even more disastrous. And ask these companies, one, if they've got paid, and two, if they're prepared to run the risk of literally losing any potential revenue that they could be getting elsewhere whilst they leave this kit on the site. Get the kit off site and get it off now. And in fact, the smart thing would be for that well to be plugged until such time as Barclays Bank are able to find an appropriate buyer for the conventional gas business, which Third Energy has had acquired when it bought Viking back in 2011. So it is very much a seminal day here in the UK, because, you know, it's really starting to look like the government is way out on a limb here. The zeitgeist of the moment is clearly to reject the unconventional gas industry in the UK. And let me correct something. The vote in Cheshire was unanimous. The vote in Rotherham was unanimous. And so it's only in Derbyshire where it was 9-1. And of course, Lancashire County Council was also unanimous in rejecting Quadrilla's traffic management plan for Rosica. So basically, out of 4 major local authority decisions, there was a single vote in favour of supporting the applications of the unconventional gas industry. So that's Third Energy, and you know, this the lid is very firmly on the coffin of KM8 right now. And the important thing is that the anti-fracking community now comes together to collectively nail that coffin shut. Now, nobody will be more relieved about this than Greg Clark, because, of course, he's been sweating ever since Jeremy Hunt refused to be pulled out from his role of destroying the NHS and go into the Secretary of State for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy role at the January reshuffle. So Greg Clark has been desperately looking for a way in which he could avoid his political career being shit-canned by having to sign off on this travesty. Well, Greg, the gods must be smiling on you, because you have been given an opportunity here to pull the plug. And on the basis of it is just simple financial logic. Because I somehow doubt that Barclays Bank really wants to be associated with the prospect of the travesty that is likely to get the right teeth in, to be rolled out if the frack there goes ahead. So, of course, that leaves us with iGas, excuse me. And iGas, of course, lost one of the votes in Cheshire unanimously, where the council rejected iGas's application to return to their existing well at Ellesmere Port to run some tests. So that leaves iGas at Misson Springs, where, of course, an officer of Nottinghamshire County Council was instructed, I'm sure, to ride roughshod over Clause 21 and give iGas the permission to continue operating at Misson Springs beyond the end of January. And, of course, they also have permission to start work 7 miles away between Retford and Blythe at Tinker Lane. So these are 2 active sites, and Misson Springs is very much active, as, of course, is Preston New Road, where Quadrilla are now in the 14th month of a 6-month project. And anything that can be done to extend the costs to Quadrilla, then obviously let's make sure that that's occurring. And Quadrilla, of course, is underpinned by Centrica. And Centrica are losing customers hand over fist for a number of reasons. But the Centrica stock price has tanked by 40% in the past 12 months. A year ago it was 229 pence, and now it's £1.25. So a drop of 40 pence. And apparently Centrica, yet again, will later this year have to announce another massive drop in their customer base as customers exit Centrica for the cheaper, cleaner options elsewhere. So right now, the middle of the week, the first full week of February, things are looking up. But let's not forget that we are under attack, the collective we, in so many ways. And the great thing about the fracking agenda, it's brought people together in this country, and people within the anti-fracking community are now looking at the bigger picture. Of course, the NHS is one. It's undeniable what's happening there. Despite the government bluster, it's absolutely undeniable. So humanity is very much on the cusp, but the big question is, on the cusp of what? Now, this is a case of either humanity collectively comes together and takes back control from the criminal cabals that we have in government, or we walk into a literal dystopian, totalitarian nightmare which would provide open house for the corporations to literally rape and pillage the resources of the planet to a far greater degree than they are right now. So my annual conference, the Alternative View, is coming up in May, and there will be some 300 people there from all walks of life. People who have realised that something isn't right and something has to be done. So these are shakers and movers, people who are very much involved in many, many different areas around the issues that are so important if we are going to provide the next generation with an environment that gives them the opportunity to truly thrive. So if you want to find out more about this conference, it's the AV9, it's my 9th one. It's the first weekend of May, that's the bank holiday weekend in May, at the stunning venue of the Horwood House Hotel just outside Milton Keynes. But take a look at the information on the website, that's alternativeview.co.uk. And collectively, we can bring about the changes that we all know that we need to see. Now, with the anti-fracking campaign, so far we've had a truly tremendous 2018. But let's not rest on our laurels. Let's not count those chickens just yet. The champagne needs to remain in the fridge for the time being until this coffin is not just nailed firmly shut, but buried deep in the ground. Thanks for joining me today. Don't forget, go tag a Barclays or call your local Barclays or visit the local Barclays or call the Barclays call centres and let them know your displeasure at their support of the unconventional gas industry in the UK. So have a great day, enjoy this beautiful winter's sunshine, and I'll be back with you tomorrow morning at 8:30, and also tomorrow evening I'll be in the studio for another edition of Fracking Nightmare. So catch you then, take care.